The crystal chandeliers shattered the silence with a loud crash as every guest in the luxurious Beverly Hills mansion turned toward the grand staircase. A young woman dressed in a simple black and white maid's uniform stood perfectly still, her face calm despite the expensive champagne dripping from her clothes. Across from her stood the millionaire's glamorous fiancée, smiling with cruel satisfaction, convinced she had just put an insignificant servant in her place. But within the next hour, every person in that mansion would discover that the woman they had mocked wasn't a maid at all. She was one of the richest women in America, and everything they believed about power, wealth, and respect was about to change forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is more valuable than money and everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this story with your friends, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that touch the heart. The mansion belonged to millionaire entrepreneur Jonathan Carter, who had built a successful real estate company across California. After years of hard work, he had become one of the most respected businessmen in Los Angeles. His engagement party was expected to be the social event of the season, attended by celebrities, investors, politicians, and influential families from across the United States. Jonathan believed he had found happiness with his beautiful fiancée, Vanessa Collins. She was elegant, confident, and admired by everyone who only knew her polished public image. Yet behind expensive dresses and charming smiles hid a woman who believed that wealth gave her the right to judge everyone beneath her. Only Jonathan's elderly grandmother, Margaret Carter, worried about Vanessa's character. She had spent decades building the Carter family's reputation on honesty and compassion, not luxury. She quietly arranged a small test before the wedding without telling anyone, hoping to discover who Vanessa truly was before it became too late. Margaret invited her oldest friend, Grace Whitmore, to the engagement celebration. Grace was known publicly as the founder of one of America's largest charitable foundations and the owner of several successful technology companies worth billions of dollars. Despite her extraordinary success, Grace preferred living simply. She disliked expensive jewelry, flashy cars, and unnecessary attention. Margaret asked her to arrive dressed as one of the temporary household staff, explaining that she wanted to see how people treated someone they believed had no power. Grace smiled warmly and agreed without hesitation. Throughout her life, she had learned that respect shown to strangers revealed far more about a person's heart than respect shown to the wealthy. When the evening began, Grace quietly helped arrange flowers, greeted caterers, and carried trays alongside the other staff members. Most guests ignored her completely. Some offered polite smiles. Others barely noticed she existed. Vanessa noticed her almost immediately. She frowned every time Grace walked nearby, criticizing tiny details that didn't matter. She complained about folded napkins, polished silverware, and flower arrangements that looked perfectly beautiful. Grace responded with patience and gentle kindness, refusing to react to the insults. As more guests arrived, Vanessa became increasingly determined to demonstrate her authority. She wanted everyone to admire her as the future lady of the Carter estate. She believed controlling the staff would make her appear powerful. Late in the evening, while photographers captured glamorous moments in the ballroom, Vanessa intentionally bumped into Grace, causing an expensive glass of imported champagne to spill across the maid's uniform. Instead of apologizing, Vanessa loudly blamed Grace for embarrassing her in front of everyone. The room fell silent as laughter spread among a few guests eager to impress the future bride. Grace simply lowered her eyes and quietly began cleaning the floor. Margaret watched everything from across the ballroom. Her heart sank. Jonathan stood frozen. Something deep inside him whispered that this wasn't the woman he thought he loved. Then Margaret slowly walked to the center of the room. She gently placed her hand on Grace's shoulder and asked everyone for their attention. The guests expected her to defend an employee. Instead, Margaret smiled proudly and introduced Grace Whitmore as the billionaire philanthropist whose charitable organization had funded children's hospitals, disaster relief programs, scholarships, and homeless shelters across America. She explained that Grace's companies employed tens of thousands of people and that her generosity had quietly changed countless lives without seeking publicity. The ballroom became completely silent. Several guests immediately recognized Grace's name from magazine covers and national business conferences. Faces turned pale. Vanessa could barely breathe. Only moments earlier she had humiliated one of the wealthiest and most respected women in the country. But what happened next surprised everyone even more. Grace didn't demand revenge. She didn't insult Vanessa. She didn't threaten lawsuits or use her wealth to destroy anyone. Instead, she calmly explained that true greatness could never be measured by bank accounts, designer clothes, or social status. Real success, she said, appeared in the small moments when nobody important seemed to be watching. Those words echoed through the ballroom with more power than any angry speech ever could. Jonathan felt overwhelmed with shame. He realized he had spent years building a successful business while overlooking the importance of character in the person standing beside him. Bealt had blinded him to values his grandmother had always tried to teach him. Vanessa attempted to apologize, but her words sounded empty because they came only after learning who Grace really was. Grace looked at her kindly and explained that respect offered only to powerful people was not respect at all. Genuine kindness should never depend on someone's job title, clothing, or financial status. Margaret quietly removed the engagement ring from the display table where it had been placed for photographs. Jonathan understood. It gently ended the engagement that very evening. Many guests expected drama, lawsuits, or public humiliation. Instead, they witnessed something much greater. Grace announced that the Carter family would partner with her foundation to create a nationwide program helping single mothers, struggling families, and young students receive education and career opportunities. Jonathan pledged millions of dollars toward the initiative, promising to build a legacy based not only on profit but on compassion. News of the unusual engagement party spread throughout the country. Journalists expected another celebrity scandal, yet they found a story about humility, forgiveness, and the importance of treating every human being with dignity. Months later, Jonathan devoted more of his time to charitable work alongside his business responsibilities. Employees noticed remarkable changes inside his company. Every worker, from executives to janitors, received equal respect. New leadership programs rewarded kindness alongside performance, creating a workplace admired across the industry. As for Vanessa, losing everything she had hoped to gain forced her to confront uncomfortable truths about herself. She eventually began volunteering at community shelters, not because cameras were watching, but because she finally understood that pride had left her lonely while compassion offered genuine peace. Grace continued living quietly despite her enormous fortune. She still visited hospitals without reporters, supported families in need anonymously, and reminded everyone she met that the richest people were not those who owned the most, but those who gave the most. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes kindness can change the world. Your support allows us to keep sharing stories that inspire hope and compassion. Before the ending, leave a comment with one word, kindness, if you believe every person deserves respect, no matter their job or appearance. That unforgettable evening in Beverly Hills became famous not because a billionaire revealed her identity, but because one simple truth changed every life inside that magnificent mansion. Titles disappear. Money comes and goes. Beauty fades with time. Yet the way we treat people when we believe they have nothing to offer reveals who we truly are. And in the end, the greatest fortune anyone can ever possess is a compassionate heart that never looks down on another human being.